if you see how all areas are being impacted by what you feel is most important, nothing's not happening. It's all happening.
It's all happening, yeah, including the spiritual and everything. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, spirituality, don't subordinate to some religious dogma and institutional structure. That's not what spirituality is. That's just one form of it.
Yeah.
You know, I have a friend that's he's a guy called an adventurer, you might say, adventurist. He climbed Mount Everest 4 times to the peak. He's climbed the 7 peaks in the world twice each. Mm-hmm. He's walked and hiked to the North and South Pole, and he swam the Amazon River. Mm. Okay? This is an adventurist.
Yeah, wow.
He's also lived in a community in the Amazon jungle or whatever with people that's never been found, never been seen hardly.
Yeah.
So he's gone out and he asks himself, what is my biggest fear and how do I conquer it now? And he goes on, and that's his spiritual quest. Conquering his own fears, that's what he calls his spiritual quest. He doesn't subordinate to some anthropomorphic deity that's supposed to protect him in the afterlife. He doesn't sit there and go and prostrate himself down in front of some cubicle building or whatever. Those are different forms of spirituality. It is spirituality. Mine's teaching. You got to give yourself permission. If you're running gold medals and you want to be the fastest man in the world and you want to inspire millions of children to do running, that may be your spiritual path.
Yeah, brilliant. And then what about the history of religion and everything else that came to be? Because that also has in the sense of influencing people and direction of people, even to the extent of altering their mind and directing them in a particular way, like cults, for example.
Yes. Well, I was in a movie called Oh My God, and Peter Rogers produced this movie. And they interviewed a lot of different people from the Al Qaeda to celebrities to you name it. Ringo Starr, Hugh Jackman, myself, Baz Luhrmann, all kind of interesting people, and religious leaders from around the world in 33 different types of religions. And I wrote in one of the books that they turned the movie into on the anthropological development of religious thought. Mm-hmm. And one thing I'm certain about is that religions emerged in the brain as we've developed the brain from the amygdala and subcortical areas of the brain, where we avoid pain and seek pleasure, and we avoid hell and seek heaven kind of models, to eventually a more abstract mathematical understanding of the laws of nature, the laws of the universe, that's personified as some sort of an intelligence in the universe that's guiding the universe itself, to eventually an abstract and personal structure. There's stages of it. Goes from sort of a shamanistic, animistic stage to a mythological phase, to a metaphysical phase, to eventually a theological phase, and eventually kind of an abstract, concrete, objective phase, just as our brain is developing. And all of them are stages of development that we pass through, but none of them are the final end. You know what I always say, that the divine is not some anthropomorphic deity made up in a human mind to protect them from their fears. And it doesn't happen to have a location or what color or race or creed it may be. The divine doesn't have a limitation, and it's not a Buddhist or a Christian or an Islam. None of those are the box. It's just, those are all phase and pieces of the puzzle, but by no means is that the whole picture. Because most of Aristotelian teachings in his geocentric universe and Ptolemy had an influence on the 3 major religions, and 5 billion people follow that. But that's ever since the Copernican revolution, the vista of the universe has expanded out to the galaxy, and now out to super galaxy clusters, and now into a vast ocean of the universe. We have to keep current and live in holy curiosity and not get trapped on stages of development.
Wow.
Think about it. When you were in elementary school, when you looked in your science class, you saw a little ball, hydrogen up to uranium, a progressively larger atom picture.
Yeah.
And then you get these little plastic models of with sticks, and you put these little models together, and you thought, my God, an atom is a little ball. And then you start out and you go to high school and you find out, oh, the Bohr model, it's got electrons going around a proton and neutron, and it's like a little solar system, but it's sort of like shells, like kind of a ball. And you're taught a little bit more abstract idea. Then you go to college and you find out, wait a minute now, it's quantum numbers, it's probability distributions. And it's not even actually a real electron there. It's a point charge that has no space or time occupation. And so it's just a probability. It's a mathematical game. And then you go on to professor, become a doctor and professor in physics, and you go, well, there's flaws in the model. it's a useful model, but it's got flaws in it. We really don't know what it is. And it's like a surging web of interpenetrating fields in a quantum field. And then it goes all the way to abstraction. We don't know. So we had to be taught the illusion in elementary school until we're ready for the truth. And the same thing in religion. We have to be taught the illusions until we're ready for the truth. And the divine can't be put in a box. The man wants to do that so he can relate to it. That's all.
Yeah. Wow. So I guess, do you think there's still a telos out there that we don't know about? Is there something that we could still discover, even around the mind, around the values and everything else?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been blessed for 48 years teaching everything else, and I've run across some really bright people along the way in different fields, in anthropology and chemistry and mathematics and exobiology and space and astronomy. And whenever I meet these amazing people that are at the cutting edge of their field, I ask them, whenever you're finding cutting edge information, send it my way. So I'm getting information daily coming in from some of the great minds. And I read it and try to just keep current in my own capacity and try to have more of a polymathic approach. Otherwise, I'm over-specialized and not adaptable. And in the process of doing it, we're constantly breaking barriers. The 4-minute mile has been broken. Well, so in every field, we just push back human beings. The Homo erectus, 200,000 years recently. We push back Homo sapiens now, another 50,000 years recently. We're finding that we're much older than we thought. We've been around. There's more civilizations than we imagined. It's constantly evolving. And religions, we're finding, are also, without a doubt, there's a syncretic development of layer upon layer of sediments of religious understanding sitting on top of older constructs that have become more integrated as they go on. From polymorphic to now monotheistic kind of ideas. There's an evolution there. When you understand it and you study it, you understand it and you realize that we're here to live in holy curiosity. We're here to continue to ask questions, because whatever we know, there's always going to be an unknown beyond it. So if we stagnate that growth and now go, that's it, we automatically stagnated our evolution.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks, John. Now,
our grandchildren, think about it, our great-grandchildren are going to be traveling to Mars.
Yeah. Wow. Yes.
They're going to say, Mom, I want to go out for the night, and you got to be home by 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock on what planet? And then they sneak over because there's a party on Mars, and they sneak over to Mars, and they go, and what we'll do is we'll do a time warp and a gravitational lensing process, and we'll distort and confuse our parents and try to lie to them, and we'll actually go and have a party on another planet someday. And we laugh at that now, but 200 years from now, we can't even imagine the technology, what we'd be doing. It's hard to even comprehend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've only got to look at where we are now compared to where we were 100 years ago. And you're absolutely right.
Well, where it was Flash Gordon was science fiction. Now Flash Gordon is nothing.
Yeah.
We're way ahead of Flash Gordon now.
Wow. I guess, is that the role of those visionaries who can see beyond what we see? Because in most cases, those visionaries, when they say things now, which look absolutely ridiculous, but to some extent, 400 years or whatever years later, when people see what those thoughts were, they begin to say, yes, maybe so-and-so was right, but that was 400 years ago, and so on and so forth.
Well, Giordano Bruno was a theologian and mystic and philosopher and astronomer and mathematician at the time of 600, right at the year 1600, I mean. And he basically started reading the text that the church didn't want people to read. And he started discovering Aristarchus's and Philolaus' work and the Pythagoreans and some of Anaximander's work on cosmology and, the thinking of astronomy at the time. And he basically said, we live in an infinite universe with infinite worlds, with infinite beings, and that someday we will discover this. Well, they burned him at the stake. They put him in prison for years, and then they burned him at the stake. And then 400 years later, they honored him as a genius 400 years ahead of his time.
Wow.
Because what he turned out was, we now know there's over 5,000 planets we've identified. And we know that it's very probable that life is going to be found on some of these. And we know that there's water on some of these. And there's habitats that exobiology and extremophilic organisms could live on. So we know that it's very probable it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of if we're going to discover it. It's a matter of when we're going to discover it.
When, yeah.
And when we do, we're going to realize something, that the word Catholic in Catholic Church meant universal. And they wanted control over a geocentric world. And they thought that was the center of the whole universe at the time.
Yeah.
Now the Earth is an infinitesimal. It's an insignificant little planet compared to the vastness of what we know about the universe.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to not get constrained by you might say, that megalomania construct, and give ourselves permission to continue to explore and humble ourselves before the vastness of what's capable of learning in our minds.
Yeah. Which is vast. There's just a lot.
Yeah. Well, I love Einstein said it really nicely. It's enough for me on a daily basis to sit in awe and sit in the mysteries and penetrate some new additional mystery on a daily basis, and to understand the intelligence that he said believed it permeated the universe. He was a panpsychic that believed that the divine wasn't some anthropomorphic deity sitting in a sky. It was an omnipresent governing force that gave rise to all the laws of the universe, which we're uncovering slowly but surely.
Excellent.
Spinoza's God. Spinoza's God was and Einstein's God was a different God than some of the Christians thought.
Brilliant. Now, talk us through the breakthrough experience, John. What is it? And
the breakthrough experience is my signature program. I teach 80 different courses, but this one course is the most significant one. I've done it 1,120 times in 66 countries. And it's 2 days, 24 hours at least, going down the rabbit hole on finding out how to take whatever's happened in your life and how to turn it into something extraordinary. How to master perceptions, decisions, and actions. How to get clear on what your values are. How to make sure that you own the traits of the great so you don't subordinate to people around you. Because if you see something great in somebody, it's because you have it and you're just too humble to admit it. And giving yourself permission to stand on the shoulders of giants and shine, not shrink. So it's a very powerful 2-day experience with a small workshop dedicated to helping people do something extraordinary with their life. That's it. I love it. I've been doing it, like I say, 1,120 times.
Yeah. And what can people expect to get out of the breakthrough experience?
It depends on what they're coming in with. Some people come in there because they want to take their business to another level, break through a plateau. Some want to launch their singing career. Some people want to break through an anxiety about marriage. Some are wanting to get pregnant, and they're trying to figure out what the psychology, because there's no reason for them not getting pregnant, but they're just not getting pregnant. Some people want to make more money. I don't know what they're coming in with. It depends on what their objectives are. I just show them how to achieve things that they're having difficulty achieving, and how to get clear on what that is if they're not clear about it.
Yeah. And I guess if people are procrastination, is that could it be because whatever it is that they want to get out is not high on their values?
That's it. Well, anything that's low in our values, we procrastinate, hesitate, and frustrate. Anything that's high in our values, we're disciplined, reliable, and focused. When people set goals, what they think is important, but it's not actually important, that's what happens. So if you have to be reminded or motivated or incentivized to take action on something, it ain't important. I don't have to be reminded or motivated to research, teach, and travel the world and teach. I do it 48 years. I've been doing it every single day, 7 days a week. Nobody has to motivate me to do that. But if I had to be motivated, it might be in the area of cooking, because I haven't cooked since I was 24. I haven't even driven a car in 30 years. I learned a long time ago, delegate everything but what you love doing, and give other people jobs and help the economy, and stick to what your core competence and what inspires you most, and become great at that one thing, as Gary Keller says, and liberate yourself from anything that depreciates who you are as a person, and get on with doing the thing that you feel called to do in life. Hey, that's not that hard to do. It sounds simple. It's not that hard to do, but people make it hard because they just haven't learned the tools. And that's what Breakthrough is about, teaching them those tools.
Teaching those tools. And I guess for people in the sense that everything is linked with their health, wealth, and nutrition and everything, all those things are important in the personal, the personal development and success and financial empowerment. Everything is linked, isn't it? Like for someone to be in good health and
all of it is applicable. I ask myself, whatever it is that I want to do, if I want to go and say, okay, I want to start jogging or whatever, I link it by asking how specifically is jogging going to help me fulfill my mission of teaching.
Yeah.
If I don't see the connection, I'm not going to jog. But if I see the connection and I see it on the way, and I find out that some of the greatest teachers did that, I'm going to increase the probability of me going out and doing that. But I may not want to jog 3 times a week. I may want to jog for 15 minutes once a week. You've got to give yourself permission to create your life as you would love it. That's the key. Because some people want to think that they've got to do this and they've got to do that, and it's all shoulds and supposed tos and got tos. There's no rules out there, Alex.
Yeah.
Except the rules you choose to abide by.
Yes,
and whoever you subordinate, those are the rules you think you have to live by.
Yeah.
But what if you gave yourself permission to be a leader? Think about it this way: if you're 12 years old or younger, you probably have your parents as your moralist. Do what we say, or otherwise, going to get spanked or something, okay, or punished or something. But then when you get into elementary school, to junior high or high school, you don't always listen to your parents. You start letting peer pressure influence you. And then when you get out of high school, you don't always listen to your parents. You start doing your own thing. Once you get a job, once you get your own apartment, you start thinking, well, think about it, Mom. Thank you. And then your boss may become your leader. And then you eventually go, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. And now I don't have to work for a boss. I don't have to subordinate to a teacher. I'm not having to always listen to my parents, although I may, if it matches what I'm wanting to do. And then all of a sudden you realize, you know what? I'm the real leader of my thing. Now I've got a government of the city, the state, the nation, the world, and the industry that I'm subordinating to that's now my ruler. And then I decide, you know what? I'm going to open up a franchise and have a franchise all over the state. And now all of a sudden the teacher wants me to come and speak at the school. And now the mayor wants to take pictures with me. And now all of a sudden I start to go nationwide with my franchise and own up 1,000 different stores. And now all of a sudden the governor wants to meet me. And then I go international and I have a Microsoft company or something like that. Now the president wants to meet me. And then we find out the Pope wants to meet me. And then the guy that's setting the rules, I have a conversation. I said, you might consider changing these rules here. I think these might be wiser rules. And then they go, well, this guy knows what he's doing or something like that. We'll go follow those rules. So if you rise in power, you set the rules. If you don't rise in power, you follow the rules. You can either follow a culture or you can build one. Yeah.
Wow. But I guess your environment and your peer group also plays quite a big role in that, isn't it? Because, some people go 20 years, 30 years, and then they are successful. And then they start thinking, if I knew what I know now 10 years ago, I could have accelerated my success, maybe achieved what I did in 2 years instead of 10 or 20.
But if you ever go back and look back and regret what you did, that's foolish. What you do is, I don't have any regrets looking back. There's not one thing that I did back there is a mistake. You only label things mistakes when you compare your actions to somebody else's values.
Yeah.
You have exactly the journey you need to do. Be grateful for the journey. And just, if you know it now use that tool and learn what you learned and now use it. But don't sit there and regret. It's a waste of time putting regrets into the game.
Yeah. Wow. Great. Thanks, Joe. So where can people find you and where can they find the breakthrough experience? At the moment, I guess with the current times, you're not doing physical visits in cities anymore. Is it all virtual?
Well, right now we're doing online, but I have a feeling by the third quarter, fourth quarter, they'll probably be starting to do some live again.
Yeah.
It's opening up. Some countries, it's already opening up. But I'll do both. Now we've got Zoom and we've got those programs and Clubhouse and all the different vehicles. Yeah. I've been doing radio, television, newspapers, magazines, books, movies, anything that gets a message out, I'm fine with. And Zoom is great and live is great. So I'll do it all. I won't stop. They can go to my website, drdemartini.com.
Yeah.
And go on there and look and do the value determination that's on there, or go and look up where I'm on events. Or just go and browse the media. There's thousands of articles and YouTube videos. There's an education. Go to my podcast, my Dr. Demartini show. You can stay on there and be educated the rest of your existence there. It'll keep you busy forever.
Good. So that's Dr. Demartini. I was just going to show the banner. That's the one, yeah?
Yep.
drdemartini.com. Brilliant. So, John, it's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, you've got it's a lot of golden nuggets there, a lot of information. I'm sure I can spend the whole day speaking with you because, like you say, teaching and inspiring people is one of your highest values. And it's absolutely amazing to hear you speak. Like I say, I follow you. I hear a lot of your teachings, and I'm looking forward to getting on the breakthrough experience with you as well. So I'm sure we'll meet again very soon. But it's been an absolute pleasure you joining us on the Business Wealth and Mindset podcast, and I'm sure hopefully we'll get to catch up with you again at some point. But it's really been an absolute pleasure, and thanks for coming.
Thank you for the interview, and thank you for the time together. We had some fun.
Yes,
anytime I can be of help on your interview, just let me know. You do it. And I look forward to meeting you, in person at one again.
Definitely. Thanks for that, John. Enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.